What is up, guys? It is me, Jem, and welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to learn how to take selfies. So welcome to Selfies 1-on-1. But this is a highly requested video, so if you guys want to learn how I take my selfies and how I edit them, keep on watching. And don't forget to follow me on Instagram if you have not. If you are not subscribed yet, go ahead and click on the subscribe button because I will be posting weekly from now on. I know I said that last time, but I am gonna be good at it from now on. But without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Step number 1, you want to have good makeup, especially when you're showing off like your actual look. You want to have a really secure, durable makeup, and you want it to be thick and heavy because your camera is not going to pick that up. And I can tell you right now, a lot of photographers or a lot of models, I guess beauty gurus or whatever, a lot of their photos who show off their makeup, they end up editing them in Photoshop or whatever because it does not show 100% on camera. So you want your makeup to be heavy. Like for me, I am wearing the Huda Beauty foundation because it is so high coverage and that's what I need in my photos. Like especially with my eyeshadows, like I literally pack on colors and colors and layers of colors because I want them to pop. And so with that, you want a good eye primer as well. So you want to be considerate of that if you're doing more of a makeup selfie. But if you want to just pull off a natural look, then that's completely fine. But that's just how I take my selfies. I feel like a lot of my selfies are based on makeup looks anyway, so that's just how I go about it. And also one thing you want to consider aside from your makeup is your accessories, because that plays a huge role in completing the entire look. I don't know if you guys noticed, but I wear a lot of earrings, I wear necklaces. I love necklaces. I usually wear rings because it does, I don't know, it adds a little to it, you know what I'm saying? And even your shirts, like you want to make sure you're wearing a nice shirt. Depending on the vibe that you're giving out there, it really is up to you. And step number 2, you want to be mindful of your background because that's also going to play a big role on how the light is going to reflect on your face, especially if you don't have studio lighting. Like myself, I don't really have professional studio lighting. I do have this beautiful ring light behind me or in front of me, and if you guys are interested in getting one, I will link it down below. You can honestly find one on Amazon, and if you can't afford that, you can honestly get like a little desk ring light that I do have on my desk right here that I use for streaming, and I'll show it to you guys in just a second. So this is my setup for when I am taking photos with my ring light. You can tell that the bulb is facing towards the wall, so it reflects back a lot softer and it doesn't give you any harsh shadows. And I place my camera right here, and yeah, that's pretty much how I film. This is pretty much my stand for when I film my vlogs or film anything. And as for the little ring light that I was telling you about, this is how it looks, and I just have it on my PC right like that, and this is how I normally stream. So I always use this light to kind of like, you know, reflect back towards the wall again so it doesn't give any harsh shadows. And then it's just like this little stand right here, so if you want to take photos or selfies, you can just pop your phone right there and set a timer, and honestly that would be a really perfect ideal setup, and I will link this down in the description as well. I actually painted this entire room white because I wanted all of the light to reflect on me, so I don't have to worry about like, oh wait, you know, my walls red or my walls blue and it's not gonna match my outfit. Also, one thing that you want to be mindful about is the actual designs in the back of you. Like I know there are people who take selfies, or sometimes I'll take selfies and have completely nothing on the wall, it's just plain white background, but sometimes I'll kind of like include like the flowers on there just to add a little bit more dynamic in my photo, or like I'll have my fairy lights in the background, or I'll have like this rack of clothes right here or something. Speaking of lighting, that leads us to step number 3. So when I take selfies, I'm always thinking about when I'm gonna take the photo, because time of day does make a huge role if you don't have studio lighting. So for me, my prime time is around 3 o'clock to 5 p.m. But if I'm going for like a very golden hour look, a very like summer-ish glow natural look, then I will probably take photos around 6. However, if that's not a time that works well for you, I use this ring light. I don't always use it because it makes my background really dark, so I don't really like using my ring light that much. Sometimes I do, depending on the eye makeup that I am showing off. Like for instance, this photo right here, the green eyeshadow look, this was taken behind this ring light. And what I typically do is I face the ring light towards the wall. So instead of facing the light bulb towards me, I face it the opposite way to the white wall so that the light is much softer when it bounces off the wall. Because when you face the bulb towards your face, it does give off a lot of harsh shadows and it makes your face so exposed that you kind of look like a vampire sometimes. So that leads us to step number 4 is your camera. Every camera is going to be different, but I'm assuming a lot of you guys are going to be on an iPhone. Majority of my selfies are taken with the Google Pixel 3 and the camera on this one is a lot better. But if you do have an iPhone 11, then you might like that quality better than the Pixel 3. I think the white balance on the Pixel 3 is a lot more white as opposed to the iPhone. It is a little bit more saturated and more contrast, I think. I'll show you guys the two photos, like the differences right here, because I love both of them, but at the same time Google Pixel 3 has a better quality camera. That's something you want to consider as well with your selfies. But honestly, you can take like an iPhone 5 and still pull off a really good golden hour look as long as you have the good lighting and you got everything set and you know how to edit. That leads us to number 4, 5. Anyways, but we're gonna talk about angles. So the key to selfies is knowing your angles. Once you got your lighting down, once you got your makeup done, once you find your background, it is now time to find your angles. And for me, I honestly like to show off this side of my face more as opposed to this side. This side of my face, especially where the light is hitting it, it's not very cute from this side. So I like this side more, or straightforward. My face is very asymmetrical, so I have to kind of like play around with my facial expression sometimes, but I like it just straight to my face. And then you want to just kind of like play around with your hair, and you really just want to experiment. So you want to keep like playing around with your hair, with your looks. When you're taking selfies, you want to really play around with your expression, and depending on the mood that you want to give out there, depending on the vibe that you want to put out there, you want to kind of like talk with your eyes. That's the key here. Talk with your eyes, but really you just want to look cute. Go ahead and feel yourself. That's a key to taking selfies. Feel yourself and feel confident because you're beautiful, okay? I just take a few shots right like that. One thing that I always do is that I always kind of like brush my hair to this side, give it that like messy look, and then like put my hair, show off your accessories a little bit. Make sure your hair's not too messy. You see what I mean by how iPhone makes your face look more true to your color? Find your angles. I know for me, this is my good side and this is the side that I don't like. Like, that's a whole different person. So I stick to this side. I don't know if you guys notice this, but I'm always kind of like doing something with my hair, touching my head like that. Okay, I have way too many selfies now, but that leads us to the final step, which is the editing part and the apps that I use. So when I take my selfies, I use Lightroom. Sometimes use Lightroom, but I'm mostly using Visco app. And to really highlight my eyeshadows, I use Facetune. And yes, I know everyone hates this app. You guys would probably judge me for it, but I only use it to really highlight and bring out the color of my eyes and correct little imperfections. So I'm gonna take you guys through that process. So honestly, with iPhones, I don't even have to do a lot of editing just because it doesn't capture everything on my face. But when it comes down to Google Pixel, I do have to do a lot of editing. So this one, so there's really not much to edit here. The only thing I don't like about this is you can see the white line between my lashes or the waterline, why did I say white line? The waterline right there. So what I'll do is I'll take a picker, eyedrop is, yeah, that's a picker, and then I'll just kind of like paint black over this, and literally that's the only thing that I do. So you guys don't see that because when I do edit it in Visco, it does show up. So I just kind of tone it down a little bit, darken that just a little, just basically tracing over my eyeliner so it can appear darker when I edit it in Visco later. But this honestly looks dark, so we're gonna go back here, make this a little bit darker because I had eyeliner on, but we're gonna lighten that up so it doesn't look too drawn, too much like of a drawing. Like you want it to be natural looking, so I'll do that. And then after that I'll go to retouch and then go to details to really highlight my eyes more, so it'll kind of like make my eyes a little bit more animated, and I'll do that with my eyebrows. So bring that to like 50. I don't want it to look too much, too over edited. Maybe on the corners of my mouth so you can kind of like see my, I don't know, I feel like when you do details on the corners of your mouth, it does bring out your lips more. So yeah, let's do that and save it. So once I'm done with that, I'm gonna take that photo and import it to Visco, and usually I'll take C7. Depending on the lighting of the photo, I kind of like C9, but I do look a little bit washed out. But C7 is a little too orangey, so I can probably tone that down a little bit. But I do like C9, but I just look a little bit washed out. But we can turn up the saturation. So what I'll do is I'll kind of just take that and put it around 6.9, and then I'll go to saturation, turn that up to 1, so I look more like a human and not a vampire. And then sharpen it just a little bit, play around with the tones. Maybe I'll turn up the highlights more and leave the shadows there. It really all depends per photo. Like I don't have the same edits for every photo because first off, the lighting per photo is different. Second, yeah, no, that's it. Every lighting in the photo is different, so my edits are always going to be different, but the filters that I always go for is C8, C7, C9. SE3 is a little bit and then you want to crop that to the ratio of Instagram, and boom. But yeah, this is pretty much the final product of the photo. Now I can show you guys how I edit with the Google Pixel photo. I think the sharpness of the Google Pixel is a lot higher compared to iPhone, so I have to soften a lot of things when I edit them. Let's see, but I do like that feature though, because it's like it really brings out your features, especially when you have makeup on, but it does really point out and captures every wrinkle on your face, so some of those parts I'll soften out. Okay, so this is the photo that I'm going to edit, and you can tell everything has been captured. Like you can see every detail on my face, so I'm just gonna smoothen like this part out. You can tell, like you can see my smile wrinkles and all of my wrinkles on my forehead, so I just kind of soften that a bit, and I try not to go too crazy because I don't want to look like a doll. I don't want to look too fake, if that makes sense. I don't want that. So I just tone it down to like probably 50, and then you can tell that the waterline is still visible, so I'll do the same thing that I did, and that's pretty much the editing that I do for all of my selfies. I'll take a picker and then I'll take a paint and paint black over that, just because I don't like it. It really is such an eyesore sometimes. So yes, it looks a little crazy right now, but once we tone that down a little, it's not gonna look as crazy. So that's the only area, and then you just want to tone it down, because if it's like that, it looks a little too over edited, so you just want to tone it down. I always bring mine down to like 50 or like maybe even lower, and then I'll take the detail brush and kind of like go over that, as well as my eyebrows, so they look like they're matching and they're not as harsh as my lashes. So that's pretty much the editing that I do, and because this is such a wider color, like the white balance, is a lot more whiter compared to the iPhone. I don't have to mess with the whitening tool, which I'll sometimes use. I used to use it a lot back then when I didn't know how to play around with lighting, but I think I got it. So I'm probably gonna accentuate my lips a little more here, so I'm just gonna take the detail brush and just go over the corners of my mouth, make sure I'm not getting my insides of my lips because that'll get highlighted. So I'll turn that up and boom, and we save that. And then this is the part where we go to Lightroom. With Lightroom, I will go with selective here, and then I will go click that right there, the little circle. Make it a little bit smaller, put it over my pupil or my eyeball. And what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna highlight. I'm not gonna highlight. I'm gonna turn up the contrast, or the exposure on my eye, so you can see the browns of my eye more. And then I'm gonna take another one and put it right here. So it's better to zoom in so you can actually capture the shape of the eye. And then turn up the exposure to, I don't remember what I had on this one, but I think they're matching pretty well. We can do that again, because so take the color, or the exposure right there. So that was on 0.28. We're gonna turn that up just a little, put it right exactly on my eye. So let's make sure that matches. 0.82, 0.82, 0.82. That's how I make my eyes pop in a lot of my photos. And then after that, I will save it and then go back to Visco, apply the filter. I kind of like this color. I don't know. This one is darker, but honestly it gives me a little bit of a glow. But I kind of like C9 for this photo, so let's stick to that. Turn down the brightness just a little bit on this one, or the exposure. Turn down the contrast just a little bit because it's already high in contrast. So I'm gonna turn up the highlights on this, turn up the shadows a little bit there. I always play around with these things right here, and then I'll turn up the saturation so I look more alive and I don't look like a vampire. So I'll turn up the saturation to probably 1. That's honestly good. I don't want to look too orange. That's good. The white balance is perfect, and skin tone, that can probably, you could probably like play around with that to -1, because the color on this is really kind of like a, I wouldn't say red, but it has a plum-ish color to it, so I don't want to make it look too red. I want to stay as true to the color, so I'll turn up that. I can honestly go to HSL, go to the purples. I don't know if it's gonna change anything because it's more so like red. Yeah, so we're not gonna mess with that, but I kind of like this look better. It looks good so far. Yep. And then just change the ratio to Instagrams. And wait, I want to be like centered. Boom. That is it. That is a photo, you guys. That's how I edit my photos. So yeah, these are the 2 photos that I've taken, and this is pretty much how I edit my photos. Because the lighting was so good today, I didn't have to really edit that much with my photos. Normally if I had like the color in my eyeshadow, I would just kind of like highlight that color more with Facetune, and yeah, that's probably it. But if you guys found this useful, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you are not subscribed, go ahead and click that subscribe button. And if you don't follow me on my socials, go ahead and give that a follow. I will link it all down below. If you're gonna use my techniques or the way I take my selfies, tag me in your selfies, because I really want to see what you've come up with and pretty much what you've taken away from this little tutorial. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I hope you guys really found it useful. It's been a highly requested video, but other than that, thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys on the next video. Bye!
Thank you.